It is Tyler Herro's birthday. The baby goat is turning 25 years old. And although we're not going to talk a lot about him on today's show, I do want to show him love for having the best season of his career in the comments section. So spam those HBDs for number 14 in the comments. It finally happened, Heat fans. I'm Nic Rohloff of the Heat Report by Chat Sports. Erik Spoelstra finally played Bam Adebayo and Kel'el Ware together on Sunday against the San Antonio Spurs, and boy, was it glorious. I mean, it was everything that we could have possibly imagined that a Ware-Bam duo could look like, and I could almost go out on the limb and say it might be the best the two will ever look on the court together. I mean, the numbers they were putting up, the run that the Heat went on against the San Antonio Spurs after they shared the court was astronomical, and I will make the bet that it will never look as good as it did yesterday against the San Antonio Spurs. And this decision by Erik Spoelstra may have legitimately changed the season and the outlook for the Miami Heat. I mean, let's be honest here. Jimmy Butler returned to the lineup on Friday against the Nuggets. You get run off the court at your home building by the Denver Nuggets. The vibes were terrible. The vibes are not looking good, and you're kind of wondering, well, what's going to be next for this Heat team because they clearly are struggling right now. But then on this game against the Spurs, you trailing by 10 in the early second quarter. Kel'el Ware and Bam share the court together, and the entire vibe has changed. And let's just not even talk about how the Heat played with Kel'el Ware on the court. Let's look big picture. I don't want to act like he's better than Victor Wembanyama. I'm not doing that whatsoever. I want to make that abundantly clear. But in the first ever matchup between Ware and Victor Wembanyama, Kel'el Ware just flat out outplayed him. In 34 minutes, he scored more points, had more blocks, shot more efficiently from the field. Kel'el Ware against what some would argue a top 2, top 3 player to start a franchise with right now in the sport of basketball, and Ware outplayed him. You can draw your own conclusions from that if you will, but Kel'el Ware looked the part of a franchise starting caliber center, and him and Bam Adebayo just worked so well together hand in hand, both defensively and shockingly offensively. To quote Jimmy Butler, who has not been finding his joy on the basketball court, well, outside of Jimmy, I have. That was the most joyous experience that I have had watching a Heat basketball game all season long. Without a question. And you could argue yesterday against the Spurs was the most happy that I've been watching a Miami Heat basketball game since Jimmy Butler scored 56 in Game 4 against the Milwaukee Bucks in the Kaseya Center. I'm being so serious. Yesterday was one of the most fun experiences I've had watching a Heat basketball game in a long time. And as we look more in depth at the Kel'el Ware Bam Adebayo duo, the numbers are just absolutely ridiculous to the point where they aren't even real. They shared 13 minutes on the basketball court yesterday. They put up an offensive rating of 133.3 and an astounding, mind-boggling defensive rating of 48.1. That net rating of 85.2 might be the most unbelievable thing of all time. And we've always talked about this when you guys are in the live chat for our watch parties, in the comment section saying, Rolly, we need to start Kel'el Ware. I was always the person kind of pushing back on that a little bit. I'm not going to hide from that. I said, I get it. The defensive duo and the rebounding would probably get better. But I am very concerned about the Heat's offense if those two share the court together, because the Heat's offense has been what has held them back for the most part over the past 2 or 3 seasons, over this season. And with Bam Adebayo not really taking that next step forward from the three-point line, which was expected, I was like, well, I don't think these two can really play together. But the offensive output that they showed against the Spurs was just way too good to neglect. And the defense is just unbelievably good. We know that. Bam gets back to his big-time role of being able to switch everything, just disrupt everything at the point of attack, at the three-point line, because he knows he's got Kel'el Ware back at that baseline, ready to contest shots and help on other dribble drive penetration from the other spots on the court. It's not all on Bam and Adebayo to protect the paint anymore. And when teams and players drive on Ware baseline and he steps up and helps, guess who can shift down to the big man that Ware is leaving to go help the dribble drive? Oh yeah, Bam and Adebayo. The defensive duo is elite, but the offense is what we need to talk about here in just a second. But I do want to make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we are going to have Miami Heat breakdowns every single day, whether it's actually what's going on the basketball court or whether it's the latest rumors around Jimmy Butler or just the Heat leading up to that February 6th trade deadline. We'll have you covered with videos every single day. Let's get to 18,000 before that February 6th deadline. We're 800 away. Join the channel right now. And while watching the game yesterday, I tweeted this out right before the half. Like, right before we went to halftime and the Heat were on that 20-2 run to close the first half, I tweeted out, I've seen enough. The five-man lineup that the Heat should start employing out there in the starting as well as in the crunch time, Tyler Herro, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Kel'el Ware. As long as Jimmy's on the team right now, that should be the top lineup. And you know what Erik Spoelstra actually did? He actually started this lineup to start the second half. He said, all right, Haywood Highsmith, you started the game. I'm pulling you out, and Kel'el Ware is going into the starting group of the second half. And it worked tremendously. Credit to Spo for doing that. But I do want to actually talk about a different player outside of Kel'el Ware and Bam Adebayo, and it's Duncan Robinson. Because the biggest beneficiary of a Kel'el Ware, Bam Adebayo front court going together long-term and playing together more may actually be Duncan Robinson. And I've seen Brady Hawk talk about this on Twitter as well, and it's hard to disagree with what he was saying. And when you watch the game and look at the numbers from yesterday, it's hard to disagree with that at all because Duncan Robinson had arguably his best game of the season in terms of efficiency and just total output as well. I mean, he had 21 points, and he shot a ridiculous margin from the field, including 5 of 7 from beyond the arc. It was absolutely terrific from Duncan Robinson. And you might wonder, why is Duncan Robinson able to have so much success with Ware and Bam on the court together? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because when Herro is on the court as well, he is going to get the most attention from opposing defenses. I mean, Stephon Castle was able to just come up, and he was in Herro's hip pocket all night long, all day long. But when you have Herro, Duncan, Ware, and Bam, you can't send blitzes at Duncan Robinson coming off of curls, coming off of pin downs, which allows him to play in much more open space, which is actually crazy to think that you'd have more spacing offensively with Bam and Ware for Duncan, because guess what? If he's coming off that curl and Bam is setting him a screen, Duncan catches it. If they blitz him and send two, then it's a pocket pass to Bam, and Bam's able to get inside and either make a shot for himself, kick it out to a three-point shooter off ball, or, who's in that dunker spot ready for thunderous slam? Oh, yeah, Kel'el Ware. So defenses won't be able to rotate as much and send two guys at Duncan Robinson, which frees him up for so many more catch-and-shoot three-point opportunities. It truly is amazing that Duncan Robinson may be the biggest beneficiary of a Kel'el Ware, Bam Adebayo duo in the Heat's front court. And we're going to continue the conversation here in just a second, but we are sponsored by PrizePicks, the #1 daily fantasy sports platform out there. And with so many big sports events going down, you need to get started today. The big game is almost here. Don't miss out on the last football game of the season with PrizePicks, the best place to win cash while watching the big game. PrizePicks is also giving away a free pick for the big game, where one of the starting quarterbacks will only need to throw 1 yard to win. If you're correct on at least one more stat projection, you can win real cash. And there's multiple big games in both the college and professional football world coming soon. And in the college world, one of those free quarterbacks, Will Howard, the Ohio State quarterback, more than half a passing yard. I'm pairing that up with Riley Leonard and Jeremiah Smith, less than on their passing yards and receiving yards, respectively. Just another way that you can play. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. There's just so many ways you can play. The versatility on PrizePicks is endless, which which is why it's my favorite daily fantasy sports platform. So download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. One more time, download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. And I mentioned it just a second ago, but I do want to give credit to Erik Spoelstra. I know a lot of people might flame Spo for never going to this lineup earlier than he did. I am just going to be happy that they are finally seeing the court together halfway through the season, and I credit Spo for sticking with it. The lineup of Herro-Duncan, Bam, Jimmy, and Ware was excellent coming down the stretch of the first half. And instead of going back to his normal starting lineup to start the second half, which normally he does and what other coaches around the league normally do as well, he said, you know what? I'm sticking with what just worked to end the first half as we went on a 20-2 run. And they went with Duncan, Herro, Bam, Jimmy, and Ware to start the second half. And that lineup was absolutely tremendous in the 6 minutes it shared altogether. A ridiculous offensive rating of 169.2, and then a defensive rating of 84.6, which netted an 84.6 rating, with a true shooting percentage of 85.4%. Now, that might be a little inflated because Duncan Robinson did go nuclear to start the second half, made like 4 threes in the first 5 minutes of the third quarter, but it ultimately goes back to the point I was just making about how this offense is actually much more spacious and allows Herro and Duncan Robinson to get more looks from beyond the arc and better looks going towards the rim because of the different kind of defense teams have to play defending both Kel'el Ware and Bam Adebayo. And with Ware having a three-point stroke that actually is serviceable, he can kind of sit out at the perimeter on some points of an offensive possession in the half court. It's still not what he's best at. He only shot 1 of 5, but on a very limited 1.1 attempts this season, he's shooting around 40% right now from beyond the arc. So teams do have to respect him and can't just sit in the paint while he's sitting in the corner. They do have to actually go and contest his shot, which just ultimately comes back to more spacing for your guards in Tyler Herro and Duncan Robinson. So let me know your thoughts. Should this be the new starting lineup for the Miami Heat? You see the 5 names. While Jimmy Butler's still on the roster, should this be the starting group? Should this be the closing group as well for the Miami Heat? Type Y for yes or type N for no. I gotta be honest, I think Erik Spoelstra just has to stick with this. I know that he may have put Bam and Kel'el Ware together because of the matchup-dependent kind of group that you had with Victor Wembanyama, a 7'4", lengthy, absolute alien on the court, and the only person that can really match up with him in terms of his size, length, athletic ability is Kel'el Ware. Like, I love Bam, and I love the physicality he plays with, but he's 6'9", and he's got a good wingspan, but 6'9" trying to guard 7'4" isn't very easy. But when you put a Ware who's 7 feet tall with a 7'4.5" wingspan on Victor Wembanyama, it made life a little bit more difficult for Wemby. And seeing these two work hand in hand together was awesome. It was so much fun. And like I said, I know it was matchup dependent, but it legitimately might have changed the season and the outlook of this year. Like, when you start to kind of fawn at the mouth of what a Bam-Ware duo could be in the future on that front court, it's like, holy, did Pat Riley do it again? Like, this might be exciting times, folks. I know a lot of people, including myself, dislike Pat Riley for the lack of trades that he has made and the lack of acquisitions to help Jimmy and Bam over the last 5 seasons. I get that. But the drafting of this front office, him, Andy Ellisberg, Adam Simon, who needs a major shout-out, like, it's been unbelievable. Ware looks like a star. Hawkins is at least a serviceable rotation player. At 18, that's great. Jovic is getting better every single day. He was picked 27th overall. And obviously your two kind of stars right now in terms of who you're building around, Herro and Bam, 13th and 14th pick. So it's not like they're picking any of these guys in the top 5 of the lottery. No, they've been competitive, but still making these picks that have been so excellent. Man, oh man. I'll tell you what. The way Ware looked, if they traded Jimmy and had a starting lineup of Herro, Duncan, Blank, Ware, and Bam, I would be excited to watch this team on a nightly basis. Maybe they have that guy they acquire back at a trade start there at the 3. Maybe it's Hawkins. Maybe it's Highsmith. Maybe it's Jovic. But either way, I'm excited for the rest of the season as long as Kel'el Ware and Bam are going to start sharing the court together. And that will do it. I know it's a little bit of a longer video. Appreciate everyone watching throughout this entire episode. And if you are still watching today's show and are not subscribed, you clearly like what we're doing, at least to some degree. So hit that sub button and join us for tomorrow's game against the Portland Trail Blazers. We'll be live for that one. We'll also have a video out in the morning on the latest surrounding Jimmy Butler. So join the channel because we have a lot of content coming for you over the next 2 weeks.